Chiefs 37, Ravens 20. Let's start out on the Chiefs side of this thing here. Patrick Mahomes has 4 touchdowns, Chris. That was his first 4-touchdown game since October of 2023. So we wanted to see the high-flying Chiefs. We got him in this game.
Yeah, and seeing Xavier Worthy back out on the field, and we talked about the potential fantasy value for Xavier Worthy being back to that offense. And of course, he has the 83 yards. I mean, has a couple of deep shots from Patrick Mahomes. But it's not just the fact that Worthy was making that production. It's how much he opened up for some of the other wide receivers out there on the field. Of course, me trying to continually go back to Hollywood Brown as an option. He winds up getting in the end zone this week. Juju Smith-Schuster Juju Smith-Schuster gets into the end zone. So having a player like Worthy that can stretch the defense, and of course they were challenging a lot of the Ravens defenders downfield, whether it was Chido Awuzie, whether it didn't matter who it was really at this point, but that's where Worthy provides a lot of that value, being able to stretch the field. So I mean, great to see like that from a passing game standpoint. And of course, Patrick Mahomes having like those 4 touchdowns, but also, I mean, the rushing game also looked a bit more productive this week as well. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco finding his way like into the end zone as a receiver. And of course, Kareem Hunt, like battering ram his way into for a few first downs here and there. So I think that's where it's just this offense now looks back with Worthy out there on the field. And with Rice slated to come back here in a couple of weeks as well. I mean, a lot of the concerns that we had about the Chiefs offense might have been just because they didn't have some of their better players out there on the field.
Yeah, I thought Worthy looked really good in this game. Multiple standout moments. There was the one go route that he had along the right sideline, and they immediately went back to him on the next play for essentially the same sort of shot play. Mahomes just overthrew it, or maybe he was a little bit tangled up, was Worthy in the coverage or whatever. But still, I mean, pretty much a full-time player. If the numbers I'm looking at right now are accurate, he ran a route on 70% of the dropbacks, which was just behind Juju Smith-Schuster for the team lead. He was the leading rusher on the day with Xavier Worthy with 2 carries for 38 yards, a 35-yard run obviously boosted that up. But yeah, he was pretty much seemingly no restrictions in this one, so he's going to continue to be a big force. Really happy to see him back in the offense, and everybody else just like slots down a peg. You know, Hollywood Brown could be a guy that's, you know, playable. Tyquan Thornton obviously has the touchdown, but his route participation drops back. That's kind of what you want from him, and Juju was useful as that sort of chain mover as well. So again, I think it just settles everybody else into their correct role, and we still don't even have Rashee Rice back yet. It's going to be super fascinating. I feel like I've been waiting for almost a year now to see what the fully fledged Xavier Worthy and fully fledged Rashee Rice would be like on the field together. And we're not too far away from finally getting those answers, Chris.
No, and the thing that really I keyed in on for Xavier Worthy was the fact that they were using him on end arounds, no restrictions. I know that was part of the pregame report for Xavier Worthy, but it's one thing to hear the reports and another thing to actually see it on the field in terms of how little, I guess, concern the Chiefs coaching staff had for Worthy coming back after missing those couple of games with the shoulder injury. So I kind of expected, at least me being more conservative in this regard about injuries, especially for shoulder injuries, is that they might want to get him a couple of passes here and there, but then afterwards try and maybe hide him as much as possible, given how much they've tried to use Hollywood Brown and, of course, Juju Smith-Schuster in the past. Nope. Having him used as a rusher, trying to send him downfield, across the middle of the field, didn't really matter from that standpoint. So if this is what we're should expect for Xavier Worthy moving forward, like you were saying, once they have Rashee Rice back, I mean, this might be a fully operational battle station for the Chiefs. So I'm really looking forward to see what this can look like once they get all their pieces back.
Speaking of a team that does not have all of their pieces, let's transition this over to the Baltimore Ravens. And man, a bad season got worse today here in week 4. And this is a season that right now just looks like it's teetering on the edge. You know, we might look back and see, week 4, this is when it kind of fell apart for the Baltimore Ravens. And it's mostly because of injury. So in this game, the Ravens lose multiple key players due to injury. Lamar Jackson got a hamstring injury. Cooper Rush made an appearance. I was not ready to see Cooper Rush in a Baltimore Ravens uniform. Ronnie Stanley left the game early with an ankle injury. Roquan Smith, hamstring. Marlon Humphrey, calf. Nate Wiggins, arm. I mean, these are some of their best players, and not to mention Nnamdi Madubuike already on IR with a neck injury. Yep. Kyle Van Noy did not play in this game. Travis Jones has a knee injury as well. This is a just super banged up team that even before the injuries just kind of like a tidal wave hit this team, Chris, it still didn't feel quite right to me. Lamar just seemed a little bit uncomfortable throughout the day. That was kind of true at the end of last week's game to me as well. He just wasn't playing all that confident and comfortable in the pocket. I definitely do not get good vibes from this Ravens team right now. How do you feel about this whole thing?
No, I completely feel the same because I thought it was going to be just a 1 week blip. They were going up against the Lions last week. Dan Campbell had a solid defensive game plan for keeping Lamar in the pocket and also trying to muddy up the waters on the back end enough that it would cause Lamar to essentially hold the ball a bit longer before trying to pull the trigger. It looked the same this week. I mean, Spags knew what he was doing in terms of not just the blitz and sim pressures, but also the fact that they were able to have a spy on the back end of that to keep Lamar essentially from doing some of the same damage he's been able to do as a scrambler throughout most of his time as a starter. So, I mean, he took another like multiple sacks in this game as well. And there were a couple of times where I thought he had Zay Flowers like down the, like across the middle of the field and also down the right sideline on a couple of plays where they could pick up a couple of chunk gains. And so that level of hesitation kind of led to some of the, I would say, inaccuracies. I mean, he wound up like throwing that interception his first of the season where, I mean, I thought he had Mark Andrews underneath on that pass instead of trying to throw the ball downfield. And so it's that shift where now they're relying more on Justice Hill instead of having Derrick Henry out there on the field for like on the early downs. We're not really seeing a lot of those passes across the middle of the field to Zay Flowers, where they're trying to attempt to create more downfield with some of their other wide receivers. So it's just not the same Ravens offense that we saw in week one that we assumed was going to be at least headed to the AFC Championship. And with all these injuries piling up, especially now with Lamar also potentially sidelined for next week, I do have some concerns about anybody that we drafted from Baltimore.
Yeah, the Derrick Henry stuff is especially disappointing because if they're going to be this team that can't, like, if their defense is going to fall apart in this fashion that we've seen over the last few weeks, he's a game script sensitive back. Even if he's one of the best running backs we've ever seen play, you mentioned Justice Hill. You're going to see a lot more of him because that's how they view him. And that's how basically every coaching staff that Derrick Henry's ever been a part of views him as that, it sounds weird to call him a timeshare back or an early down banger, but he's probably like the best early down banger in NFL history and just has never really been used on passing downs. And at this point in his career, that's obviously not going to change. So he becomes a little bit of a tenuous player in fantasy football right now. So we'll just have to track this Ravens team throughout the course of this week and see who's actually going to be on the field for this team in week 5, because man, it is a real messy one coming out.